It is pro day season along the path to the draft, home of the Ohio State Buckeyes, and perhaps the home to the #1 overall pick in this year's draft, C.J. Stroud.
Felt good. Of course, we want some throws back. Those are the ones I think about, but thought it came in my hand well. I thought I just stamped what I know I can do on the field. Kind of showing the off-schedule things I think is definitely great. I know that's one of the questions that some of the teams have for me was just, can I extend plays? And I think if you watch the tape, then I kind of showed it today that I can do those things.
Words that I use when I watch him throw the football, and said it at the combine, but to me, that he's a pure thrower. I use the word, it's not often used with quarterbacks, but everything's graceful. Everything's just, and David used the word measured. He's always under control. He's always got his feet underneath him. He's always aligning everything with his entire body as he's delivering the ball. It's teaching tape just as how to throw a football. And I thought last year to this year, one of the improvements I saw from him, where I thought he was able to really generate some more force. He's got that whip, Buck, where he's able to get a lot of a whip action with his arm to get velocity when he needs it. I thought he got into his legs a little bit more this year, and there were examples of when he needed to, not all the time, but when he needed to, he could dial it up a little bit with velocity.
We've seen these workouts where we've seen quarterbacks laboring, making throws, and he's just kind of like out a casual day in the park, making easy throws that are consistently hitting the strike zone. We talk about how natural he is as a passer. When you watch this, it's really just a throwing exhibition of a very natural playmaker at the position.
Yeah, he's never in a hurry, man. I think that's what when you watch the film on him, he looks very measured, and I used that term earlier, but it's just because he has such good mechanics. Like, this is just an effortless throwing session. Like, he just gets upset right there because the ball misses the target by 1.5 feet. And it's still completion. It still comes out of his hand really well, but it's one of the few non-spirals that he's thrown all day. So I think that I was talking to Jonathan Beck earlier, his quarterback coach. You were mentioning DJ. They really want to kind of try and highlight some of this movement stuff, like some subtle pocket movement stuff. Like there was one earlier, he moved to the left, threw a nice little wide swing route over to the right side, perfectly thrown ball. And then right away, Frank Reich, Josh McCown both nod their heads and look at each other like, okay, that's what we wanted to see. It's so funny to watch the dynamics of the coaches behind these guys sometimes. But he's really good looking, man. In person, like the ball just jumps out of his hand. You don't know the type of arm strength a guy has when you watch it on film until you get to see him in person. And he has plenty of arm strength, like so much so that he never really feels like he has to use it.
When you think about quarterbacks and we think about prospects, like this is how a pro day should look. It should look like an exhibition where it's easy. David Carr talks about it being measured. DJ's talked about how fluid and effortless all of these throws are when it comes out of his hands. I mean, this is what an elite prospect should look like. He's very, very impressive when you watch him.
You ask these guys to do the things that they aren't comfortable doing, and you end up seeing that, okay, maybe they struggle with that a little bit, but honestly, 99% of the time, they're going to be doing stuff they're great at. And when you watch CJ, and he's in rhythm, he knows where he's going with the football, it doesn't come out any better. Like, you just can't throw it any better with more velocity, tighter spiral, better ball placement. Like, there's nothing to pick against, you know, when you see that type of stuff. So it's hard to find anything wrong with this kid, man. I mean, he's as impressive in person as any guy I've seen, you know, especially when he's in his groove and he's in his rhythm.